I am totally loaded with mocha protein, and it is yummy. Didn't know I could have protein in my
Oh
coffee.
my gosh. I've got Malibu Barbie.
Oh my gosh,
And of
it tastes
course,
so good.
it tastes like, laying on the beach somewhere. It's delicious. So also, totally loaded nutrition. So she's off of Sherwood here in Baton Rouge next week. So for Thanksgiving, they have a special buy three, get one free. Buy three, get one free. So, it's worth the trip.
Health is always a really great gift,
It is.
and
It
it's
is.
also a great gift you give to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. So happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Fit Friday.
Man.
We've got some good topics today.
Yes.
Wanda has come up with an agenda today, so we're gonna
I'm
change
excited.
gears a little bit.
I'm excited. We're going to be talking about empowering your next chapter. So Beth is fabulous. Yes, she's fabulous. Life
Thank you.
coach, author, speaker. And so I thought it would be a really good idea if we pick her brain just a little bit. I thought you could help us.
I would love to.
Yay.
I would love to.
Yay.
This is a great, I call this the in-between season. You're in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. You're in between 2024, 2025. It's just a great opportunity to use this time to really use the time instead of letting it use us,
Yeah.
because
It
it
will.
is an in-between season. And if you don't get a hold of it and make, Dave Ramsey says you make your money work, we make time work for us. We either that or we spend it and we don't invest it. So as a coach, that's one of the things I really like to do is help people feel really good.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, this book, No Hamsters in Heaven, the first chapter is Start with Stop. Sometimes you have to start with a stop. That doesn't a minute to really think, maybe pray, maybe journal, maybe do whatever it is that helps you. But you have to give yourself an opportunity to step back and take a peripheral view of your life and say, do I like where I'm headed?
Yeah.
And you have to answer the questions that you ask yourself. Do I like where I'm going? Do I like what I'm doing? Do I like who I'm becoming? Those are great questions, but you have to answer them honestly.
Yeah.
So I think
And that's difficult sometimes too.
It is
right?
difficult.
I mean, sometimes you have to sit still and ask yourself those questions. And then, like you said, you got to be honest and you got to answer them. That's
And
hard.
if you're feeling stuck, that's like a yellow light in life. You've got the green light go, you've got the red light stop, and you've got the yellow light. The yellow light is saying something needs to change, so you need to slow down. You need to just take a little breather, stay in your lane, and give yourself a minute. Because most of the time, if people don't know what to do, they do something that maybe isn't the right thing because we're so used to being busy.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we'll keep ourselves busy.
Yes.
So we don't have to think about those things.
Yes.
Right. So as we get older, and go into maybe a next chapter. So how can we use getting older as maybe a springboard into, a new chapter or a new career or, in a new direction?
I believe getting older is a ticket to get bolder. I don't think that
I
means
like that.
I don't think it means become mean or angry or, too aggressive.
Yeah.
But I think at this point you've earned the right at your age. I've raised my kids, all the things. I can check all those things off the list. So now it's really time for me to do the things I've always dreamed about doing and really putting the work into that. So it's a great time to say, what do I want to do different? There's a song that's called This Is Your Life. Are you who you want to be? You have to ask that question. And if you're not who you want to be, and if you're not where you headed, where you want to go, you got to start with stop and say, okay, what needs to change
Yeah.
direction.
What needs to shift? Yeah.
And you have to write those things down. You have to literally say, okay, I'm not feeling as healthy as I want to do. I mean, you just were talking about something you did that
Yeah.
solved the problem
Yeah.
for you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
went and got the help you needed, and you're on a recovery course. Same with wherever you are in life. You've got to be able to say, okay, I'm worth this. I am worth what I
Yeah.
need to do to live my best life these final years. Can you make them your best years?
Yeah.
You certainly can. And I think in order to do that, you've got to ask the tough questions, but answer them honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Wow. So I have a scenario for you.
Okay.
I speak with women all the time, and I hear their stories. And this one lady that I spoke with, she's been a caregiver for several years now with her father, and she works really long hours, like long hours, 14-hour days, 10, 12, 14-hour days. And then she has a long commute. So she has very little time for herself. And so she feels like she's kind of lost herself,
Yes.
and she's lost her direction and kind of gotten lost in all this caregiving and work.
Yeah.
So how would you advise her to maybe find some balance in her life?
So, is there an opportunity for her to change what she's doing with the hours, or no? Is that just required of her?
That's required.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when a big change she's a great wife, but at the same time, she had lost her sense of self.
Yeah.
She had lost all of her creative juices, and she began to carve out little pieces of time to get out of the house and go do art and maybe walk around the block. There's some seasons that just aren't easy, and there's nothing anyone can say that is going to say, okay, you do this, you do that, and it's going to change. Some things, the only way through is through.
Yeah.
And she, with that kind of schedule, what I think she's going to have to do is really spend some time by herself alone and saying, okay, for me, it's prayer. Lord, what does this mean for me? Where am I in all this? And I think it really comes down to that quieting the soul and remembering that what you're doing is very worthy.
Yes.
Because that's what happens is you're like, where am I? And and she's really making a huge difference in the life of her dad.
Yeah.
And one day she won't have him. And my mom passed. I lived near her for the last 12 years, and I have no regrets because we had some bumpy rides in life up until that point. But it ended where I felt good about what I had done to serve her those final years.
Yeah. And so I guess having her find just some 5 or 10 minutes throughout the day for herself would kind of be what you'd say. Yeah.
I would say that she would have to find someone, if he's dependent upon her, find someone that can help her with some breaks.
Yeah.
A neighbor, a friend, a caregiver, just someone to give her a sanity break so she can go take a walk around the block. I think it's going to, again, sometimes they're just really hard, and you've got to really make tough decisions to say, okay, Dad, I'm going to do a 2-hour lunch outside of the house 3 times a week, and I've got Wanda coming in to take care of you.
Yeah.
No need for a guilt trip.
Yeah.
It's okay to take care of yourself.
Yes.
That's
the
critical
key.
thing.
That is the key.
Yeah.
Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't very well be your best at caring for someone else. You're going to get overwhelmed.
The thing about a sense of self, and this is my jam, the sense of identity.
Yeah.
You have to protect that very carefully. You have to really know that, as a Christian, most people, for me, it's a lot of people forget that you love your neighbor as yourself. You can't really love your neighbor if you're not taking care of yourself. You can't
Mhm.
really love your dad if you're not taking care of yourself. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. But yes, you have to
Okay.
take care of you. You have to prioritize your own health, physically, mentally, spiritually. And if something is taking all of your time
Mhm.
that you're not able to take care of yourself, you've got to make the tough decision and say, I'm going to do something different.
Yeah. Yeah. Put yourself on the itinerary, right?
Yeah.
Put yourself on the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't take guilt trips.
Mhm.
You know, guilt is associated with someone who's done something wrong. And in a situation like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
you feel guilty if you tell your dad, I'm going to leave you while I go have lunch with my friends or go
Yeah.
shopping. But really, there's no reason to feel guilty. I know it's so emotional when it's a parent or it's
Yeah.
a spouse or something, but that little bit of time away can save the day. It
Yeah.
really can.
Reboot your energy.
It can.
Oh, yeah. You'll come back in a much better mood, I would imagine, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have another scenario for you.
Okay.
I spoke with a lady this week, and she's starting a fitness program. So she has not been in fitness for a while, it's restarting. And she has struggled with going through menopause, and she feels like one purpose. So I opened the book up. True story. I opened it up, and I asked God to just sort of direct me in a good place where we could have some good information for someone to help them. So I opened to chapter 9, which is change your words, change your world. So Beth, I would love for you to read the chapter that just opens to me to talk about.
So this is a paragraph in a chapter,
Yes.
and it says, I'm just going to read it and then I'll give you the context. I survived, but I'll never forget the panic I felt on stage. Inadequacy, fear. You name the emotional turmoil, I felt it. Yet several speaking dates were already predetermined. I would be speaking, able or not. This moment was a cruel test. Could I or would I press through my feelings of inadequacy? So this was early in my career when I had just started speaking, and it was literally my first speaking engagement. I was so prepared. I knew all of what I needed to say, but when they called me to the stage, I literally choked and couldn't speak. And so I'm sitting there going,
Oh
I'm like,
gosh.
I mean, I'm so humiliated. I mean, everybody had said, oh, she's going to be so great. She's got so much energy and all this. And I just shut completely down. And in that moment, I thought, well, obviously, this is not what I'm supposed to do. Epic fail.
Yeah.
You know, this
Oh,
is
wow.
bad. And, you know, I pressed forward. I made it through. But, and still to this day, and I've been speaking for all these years later, I remember that day
Wow.
almost every time. It's like a little
Like
haunt.
a gnawing
Yeah. It's
sort
like,
of
hey, you remember that
reminder.
day when you got up and you couldn't speak? And I think inadequacy is something that has to be put in its place. If I, you know, that
Mm.
day I felt inadequate, I thought, okay, if I'm going to be a speaker, what's it going to take for me to not be inadequate and
Yeah.
do the work then?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I just had to let myself feel inadequate and had to say, okay, I'm not inadequate. I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And I kept going. And sometimes it's just you're going to have times when you just fall and you trip over yourself and
Yeah.
you have an epic fail. And those, everybody has those. But
Yeah.
that's, you, when you fail, you fall forward. That's the key. Is
Yeah.
you're like, you don't ever fall backwards. So
Yeah.
is that helpful?
That's helpful. It made me think about because I'm an introvert. So yeah, it's hard. This is difficult for me. So I remember, I think it was the second or third business networking meeting that I went to. And I don't know if you were there or not, But they go around and everyone says what they do and what's their name. I stood up and I was like, oh my gosh, what's my name?
Who am I? Oh my gosh, who am I? Somebody help.
But
Where's my name?
yes, so I and that wave of like embarrassment hit me. And so I sat down. Like, I don't even know what I said. I'm pretty sure I barely said my name, but I sat down and I left and kicked myself, in the booty all the way home, thinking about, what a failure I
Mhm.
was and how, ridiculous and how stupid and, all those negative things that those reinforcements kind of come in and, but I went back. I was not going to give up. I was like, I can do this. If they can do it,
Yeah,
I can do it.
right.
So I guess for her, this woman, in her feeling inadequate at this point in her life, um, just getting up and
Well, you have to go
doing
back to the
better.
title of the chapter. If you change your words, you change your
Mhm,
world.
mhm.
And we typically equate that to like, I'm going to say nice things to you, but what am I saying to myself? That was an epic fail.
Yeah.
That wasn't good. Didn't do a good job, but
Right.
that's okay.
Acknowledge it. Right.
I'm going to
Move
go
on.
forward,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna get back up. It's like getting, you fall off a horse, you get back on the next one.
Right. And I think it was Jordan Peterson. Do you know who that is?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Love me some Jordan.
I do too. I
Peterson.
was about to say, well, you either love him or you don't.
I love it. He's
it.
over my head. I have to
Yes.
really listen to him
It's
slowly,
deep.
but I'm like, okay,
It
wait,
is
what
deep.
did he just say?
So you know what I'm about to quote. Take care of yourself as if you were now I gotta think of it. Take care of yourself like you're someone you're responsible for taking care of. How does he say this? Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go find it and then we'll have to type it out later. But it's a really good quote and I don't want to screw it up.
Well,
But it's good.
my son is 27 and he's into leadership and all that. And he has a phrase he says to me all the time. Like if I'm going to go speak, he says, Mom, own the room,
Mm-hmm.
own the room. If you're going to walk into a room, why not walk in
Yeah.
and say, I am here.
Mm-hmm.
I should be. I belong.
Yeah.
I can fit in, because it's what we perceive of ourselves that really matters.
Yeah.
And, I have a saying, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier. You could sum up everything I do in 4 words: better me, better we. We all want to have great relationships.
Yeah.
But I got to bet the only person I can change is me.
Mm-hmm.
But by changing me, I change everyone around me.
Yeah.
And I think that is the critical part: is you're worthy. You are worthy of the work to be done, whether it be fitness, whether it be counseling, coaching. You do what you got to do to take charge of you, so you like you. If you don't like you, that is, you got to go back to that.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So going into 2025, holy cow.
I know. Happy New Year.
Holy cow.
Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy everything.
What tips do you have for women going into 2025 and their New Year's resolutions? What advice do you have for us?
So I'm a big believer that New Year's is not about resolutions. To me, it's about revelations. So, resolutions are, soft commitments that we make. But revelations are when you critically change something in you. And for me, when I make if I have a word for the new year, or I have a revelation, it's a change of heart, because if it changes here, it changes everywhere. So I think if you're going to make resolutions, make them a revelation, make them a wave of change where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, but only pick what you're willing to do. Don't set yourself up to fall.
Yeah.
I think you just got to give yourself the added benefit of, I can do these things, and I'm going to do these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Challenging and attainable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to have self-respect. You know, you have to be willing to hold your word to yourself.
Mhm.
You know, if I say I'm going to read a book and take a class and get a certification and then don't do that, who beats me up?
Right.
Me.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
beat myself up
Yeah.
because I didn't do what I said I was going to do for me. And I think we have to keep our word to ourselves because that's when we start feeling like epic failures.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good for 2025. Keep your word for yourself. Yeah.
Make some big commitments. I mean, especially if you're in your 40s, your 50s, and I
Mhm.
turn 60, I don't want to waste a minute. I
Yeah.
don't want to waste a day. That doesn't mean I have to grind and be crazy all the time, but
Mhm.
I want to enjoy what I do and I want to be great at anything I
Yeah.
put my hands to
Yeah.
because I don't like mediocrity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really don't. And I just don't think that any of us are called to just blend in with the
Mhm.
crowd. You know, we kind of
Mhm.
have to have our signature identity. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
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 I love
And a gold sweater and your earrings. Yes. And your personality.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
But I think you have to decide what those things are for you. You
Mhm.
know, I have my F words, my family, faith, fitness, fashion, and fun. Those are the things that sum up the things that my life revolves
Mhm.
around. And but fashion and fun, I mean,
Yeah.
come
Who can go
on.
with that?
We got to have some fun. And if you
Yeah.
don't put fun on your calendar
It
and
doesn't
do
happen.
things with
Yeah.
your people and let loose and just get a little silly, and you know, the older you
Have
get,
some
the bolder
fun.
you can be.
Yeah, it's true. Blame it on the
There's
age.
no rules for us anymore. Come on, everybody.
Once you become a senior citizen,
That's right.
everything goes. You're all right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll wrap this up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, okay, I have a question. Do you have any, like, you have some promos that you're doing for the holidays for coaching? Anything? Books?
I
What?
have, yes, I have. Both books are available online. I was going to do this cute little Friday thing, but both of these are at bethtownsend.com. And I also have an identity identifier on my website. It's 10 questions that you can go ask yourself. And it just basically measures how you feel about you. And you can score 70, 60, 100. And then if you want to talk about it, I'll be happy to talk to you about how to get that to 100. We need to be at 100.
Yeah.
Not perfect,
Yeah.
but striving to be our best self.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And thank you, Lisa. Again, we're here at Totally Loaded Nutrition. And don't forget, they've also got a Black Friday special next week. Yeah.
Got
Buy
me
three,
some
get one free.
protein mocha, and let
they're
me tell you, it is
delicious.
yummy.
It's delicious.
It is
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah. All right.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
We'll see y'all next time. Not next week.
Not next
we'll
week.
be back in December.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Next week we'll be walking off our turkey, running off our turkey. We're gonna be doing something with our turkey besides carrying it around, right?
Right on.
Have a great
Bye.
weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. I know we're a bit silly.